Let me know if you've ever heard one of these things before. Man, I am so passionate about this. Man, my passion is just driving me to do this. I am so passionate to get more into the podcasting space. I'm a passionate podcast host. I'm a passionate podcast guest. I'm a passionate advocate of. I'm passionate. We've all probably heard people say this, right? But many of those same people that we've heard say these exact words are also the ones that seem to disappear a couple of weeks later. And you're like, wait a minute, what happened, right? Like, how'd you go from I'm passionate to I'm quitting, I'm done, I'm stopping? Hello, my name is Alex Sanfilippo, and if I've not met you before, I'm so excited to spend this time with you today. And I want to take a few minutes to talk about passion and the role that it plays for podcast hosts and podcast guests and their overall success and how to really understand it well. Because I think it's something that's misunderstood. The comments I mentioned at the start here, I'm very passionate about this. I think that many of us are misusing the word passion. And I actually wrote down the original word, the Latin translation of it. Passion means, and forgive me if I say this wrong, but patio is the way that I believe you say it, which literally translates to the word suffer or to endure. If anyone's ever heard of the movie, the Passion of the Christ, the word passion is pulled directly from this. It's the suffering of the Christ. And listen, whether you're a follower of Jesus or not, like that's what I've based my entire life on. You can still say that came at a hefty price, right? Regardless of your beliefs, you're like, okay, that passion was real suffering, right? And so for me, whenever I think about that word, I think, okay, to suffer, to endure, and someone saying, I'm passionate about this, and a few weeks later they're quitting. Well, where's the disconnect? And first and foremost, it's that we're misusing the word passion. We don't actually understand what it means. Instead, people should be saying, I'm excited about this. I'm interested in this. This is a hobby of mine, right? Not I'm passionate about it. Because if you're passionate about it, you're going to be willing to go a lot further. And the reason that people stop is because friction shows up, right? Again, the translation meaning to endure. Friction is involved. And here's a great example. I am passionate to become the best podcaster I can. I'm like, okay, upgrade from your free hosting provider to a paid one. They're like, I'm not that passionate. It's like, okay, well, you're not willing to suffer then, right? Podcast guests that are like, oh, I got to get on the biggest shows. I'm like, well, first you need to get on maybe some smaller ones and maybe even just focus on the niche ones is better. And they're like, my ego won't allow that. I can't do it. I'm just not going to do this at all. It's like, okay, well, then you're not actually passionate. You're just interested. You're kind of considering something, right? And I'm going to tell you now that I think we actually have to, one, get the right definition of passion, but two, we have to actually become passionate if we are going to make it in something. Here's something that's been true for all of eternity. Since the world began, people follow people that are passionate. People follow people that are passionate. And it's not because they're the most excited or maybe the most outgoing or the most enthusiastic about it, right? Like that stuff helps because it kind of can be a byproduct of passion. But we're looking at people that are saying, I am willing to put everything on the line for this thing because I am passionate about it. I am willing to suffer. I'm willing to endure. The rest of us, myself included, we look at that as strength. We look at that as a North Star. We look at that as a cornerstone saying, I want that. I don't have that for myself, right? I quit everything I do, which is the majority of us. I don't say that. I know I laugh a little bit, but I don't mean that in a negative or bad way. It's just we haven't found our real passion yet. And because of that, so many of us would grab on and gravitate towards other people that actually have figured out the thing that makes them passionate. So first and foremost, I want to tell you, become passionate about what you do. And that means being willing to suffer. It means being willing to endure. It means being willing to pull out your credit card when you aren't sure if you can afford something. It means being willing to stay up late when you don't feel like it. It means being willing to turn off your TV for a little bit, right? And to shut off social media so you can focus on something. If friction shows up and you say, I'm passionate, but you're not willing to overcome the friction and work through it, you're not actually passionate. And I really believe that in today's creator economy, the people that are going to win are the ones that are actually passionate what they do, the ones that are willing to suffer. And I know I'm repeating myself a lot here, but this is such an important point for us to get. Now, passion alone, I don't believe is enough. There has to be a connection to purpose as well. So passion left just on its own can actually be extremely dangerous. And I'm going to be really transparent and share my own story about this in podcasting. This is what happened to me. I'll never forget it. I was actually in Las Vegas at a podcasting conference. And I just kept on hearing people in the industry. It was like an industry conference. And they were saying things that were not going to help podcasters. It was to help them. Like from stages, they're like, this is how we make more money off of people. This is how we kind of trick them into doing this so that we can make more money, so we can be more profitable. This is how you have a smaller team so you don't have to help people as much, but you can make more profit. Like, and none of them meant it in a bad way. Like it sounds terrible, like me saying this, right? I became furious at that event. And I actually told somebody, I told them, my goal is to put you out of business because you're not a good person. And like, listen, that might have been true, but like, what a rude thing to say. And I told another guy, a group of people, that same thing. One guy goes, you know what, Alex is a savage. They're like, yeah, he could actually do this. And like, we need to be careful what we say around him. Like said that in front of everybody. And I was like, yeah, you do, because you all are bad people. Like you don't care about the creator economy. You can even hear me now. I'm passionate about this, right? My passion left alone fueled into anger. I got mad about it, right? I was willing to suffer. I was willing to like break and burn bridges, right? Like with these individuals that were not having other people's best interests in mind. So I needed to, my purpose was even tied to this, right? So like, there's my passion. My purpose was to help independent voices get heard and elevated, to give back, to help the individuals that are actually making the industry work, instead of focusing on the top 1,000 and working with them so I could pat myself on the back saying I work with famous people, which is what the rest of this room was doing, saying, here's how much money I make, here's the famous people I work with, everyone else is garbage, right? And that is the mentality of most industries. So I'm not talking about bad about the podcasting industry, although it's just not any different than the rest of them. I came from aerospace, same thing, right? Like that's just the way it works. Most people are very greedy and they have their own reasons for doing things. Now, I'm sharing this story because for me, I was passionate, but was left uncontrolled. Therefore, I started saying things I shouldn't have said. I started actually doing things that, although I have people's best interest in mind, it might actually help creators more, I was actually hurting other people and other companies. And like I will openly admit, and it's terrible, like I have put big companies out of business in this industry for doing the wrong thing, just by kind of doing what they do in a way that cares for people, right? And maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. I'm sharing that transparently here today because I don't think that that was the right move for me to make. So yes, I had my passion, I had my purpose behind it as well, but I had no constraints for how to handle that in a way that actually serves people well. And when I say serves people well, yes, I was serving my ideal person, but like I was really, again, burning bridges and actually causing people to lose their jobs because I thought there was a better way to do it, and there might have been, right? So what I want to talk about this is, first and foremost, if you're like, okay, I'm going to really fuel my passion, the first thing you have to do is connect it to that purpose, right? And Jay Cron, who's just a great mentor in my life and somebody who I've had on the show previously, he talked about two things, how you can have an internal and external purpose. What's your internal one? What's it mean for you, for Alex, right? In my case. And what does that mean for other people? The more connected those two things are, though, the better. So for me, if you go to podmatch.com/about, that is my purpose and that is PodMatch's purposes. They are one and the same. My core values even overlap a little bit, like personally to the company as well, right? So you want to think about, okay, what is my purpose? You want to get so fiery about that purpose, so excited about it, that it fuels into passion and goes beyond just the idea of a hobby or an interest or something that you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out about, right? Because I think that when you get this right, it fuels it in a huge way. Now, beyond that, you got to have some accountability in your life. You got to have some community in your life. Alex was running crazy in Las Vegas, not gambling, but basically telling everyone, I'm putting you all out of business because you're bad people, right? Like that was kind of my motive there, because I saw something I didn't like. I saw people not wanting to serve people. They wanted to serve themselves, and they were leveraging others to do it. I didn't like that, right? But if I would have had people in my life that were my accountability, they'd be like, hey, buddy, slow down, Alex, chill. You said you're going to do this in a really integrity-driven way, and you're going to be kind to people along the way, right? Like you have to actually make that commitment to people. Getting into a like-minded community of individuals will also help as well, because instead of getting frustrated because you feel like you're alone, that's typically where that's fueled from, right? It's because we feel alone. Now you can be with people saying, you know what, together we're doing this. I can't control what's happening out here, but we can bring as many people into this circle, this community that we have together. And we can really make a difference here. And then, of course, again, that accountability piece. They may be in your community, but they may also just be people outside of it. And for me, they're individuals that aren't even in podcasting. They're not in software. And they're just people I'm like, hey, this week I was really rude to somebody who thinks differently than I do. And sometimes I have to confess that and admit that. Now, for all of you, like we're not all software founders. We're not all like just devoted to working in podcasting and doing podcasting, right? But we are all podcast hosts and podcast guests. So what does this mean for us? First and foremost, again, we got to fuel that passion. But for us as individuals, it means, hey, I have a show that I'm really advocating for this one cause, right? You want to find the community that's associated with that cause. Get into it. Ask them to hold you accountable to making sure that you're sharing from a place of authenticity, love, passion, right? But also a way that doesn't make people feel like you're going to be rude or mean to them, right? And then have the accountability as well. Have the people in your corner that can actually listen to your podcast and be like, hey, listen, I'm not hearing the love that you said you want to share with. I'm not hearing the authenticity you want to share with. I'm hearing that you're kind of sugarcoating this a little bit. Like you want the people that can share that in your life. And then if you're the podcast guest, maybe it's your own company. Maybe it's your own brand. Maybe it's somebody that's a customer of yours that you can bring in and say, hey, I'm going on podcast. Can you listen to this? Can you give me feedback? Right? Can you tell me where I can improve? Can you be my accountability? Can you be my community in this? We want to make sure we have these things really tightly knit, because when we do, It allows our passion to fuel in a really healthy way because it's not off the rails, right? Like we have our purpose that it ties to. We got the passion, and then we've got the community and the accountability. Like these things together make for a really, really great execution of our passion. Now, I do think it's important that we make sure that we have balance because passionate people are willing to endure. They're willing to suffer, but that doesn't work by itself. I use Jesus as my early example. If I even go back to that example, there was plenty of times when Jesus wasn't working, right? Like you look at the Bible and there was times where he was just chilling, just hanging out with people, having a good time. And if we look at the data in podcasting on both sides of the microphone, the number one contributing factor to all success in podcasting is your self-discipline, which again, I think that passion's the best way to fuel that self-discipline, right? We're willing to endure, willing to be just uncomfortable in it. But number two, and this is a close second, is our self-care. Self-care. Community helps with self-care. Accountability helps with self-care. What this means is I'm willing to be balanced. I'm not going to stay up all night, every night to work on my podcast or to try to reach out to more hosts to pitch to be on their podcast. Like I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have balance. I'm going to enjoy a TV show here and there. I'm going to enjoy going out with friends and family. I'm going to enjoy not working sometimes or not even doing this creative endeavor that I seem to just really love. I'm going to stop. So balance is so important when it comes to self-care. The next thing is joy. You have to have joy. I mentioned that whole Vegas thing, and like I'm sending this out unedited. Like I didn't script this. This is my first take. Hopefully, I'll tell you if it's not. But this is my first take as of right now on doing this. You could hear that I'm still a little bit angry about it, right? I wasn't full of joy. I was full of anger. I was full of, honestly, in some ways, a little bit of hate toward people that I thought were doing things that were wrong. But instead, fill yourself with joy. That's part of self-care, right? The self-discipline means I'm ready to fight. But the self-care says, you know what? It's going to be a joy to do this. I can't help everybody today. I can't change this thing overnight, but one person at a time, I can make a big difference, and that's going to make me happy. I'm going to smile knowing I made somebody's life or podcasting experience better today. And so for us as guests and hosts, we have to just know that, like, hey, I might not reach all the listeners. I might not have the biggest podcast in the world. I might not have a brand that goes completely viral. But you know what? If there's one person who listened and heard this today, this was worth it. I can have joy in that, knowing that, you know what? I helped somebody. I served them. There's a great mentor in my life, another one, Brendan Bouchard. And something that he writes, I think he has it on, maybe it's like on a wristband or something like that, or at least reminds himself this, but he says, bring the joy, is what he says. He says, bring the joy. And his reminder is bring the joy because energy comes from joy. And you know, a great way to fuel your passion is to be full of joy. And so, again, I want to remind everybody, like, we've got to have this idea of self-care in mind. Joy is a huge one. And the last one that goes right along with that is fun. You got to have fun. Like, that's in the work and out of the work. In the work. If you're like, I hate this part of what I do, right? I hate this part of podcasting. I hate this part of being a guest. Find a way to automate it. Find a way to delegate it, or find a way to eliminate it. Don't have it in what you're doing. Automate, delegate, and eliminate. Get rid of it somehow, right? Get off your plate if it's just not fun. Now, again, you are going to have to do things that are not fun, but if you're like, this is causing me to want to step back, maybe it's not great. And then outside of this, have fun. Celebrate the little wins along the way. Celebrate it with your community, with your accountability, with the people that are in your life saying, you know what? I reached 50 episodes of my podcast this month. Like, let's do something. It doesn't need to be with your podcast listeners. You can go out as a family, and that's why you're going out. Hey, I finally got on 10 podcasts as a guest, or I had one that was really, really impactful, feel good about. Let's celebrate this win. Doing this takes care of you, right? So we have the self-discipline and the self-care. These two things go hand in hand, and we really, really have to get it right. Now, for me, I don't want to leave you all hanging that like Alex just turned out to be this bad guy who puts companies out of business and is mad at everybody at conferences. I have since then worked really hard to develop a really great relationship with people in podcasting, whether I agree with them or not. At the end of the day, what I realize, I have a bigger impact when I just love people for who they are, not for what they do. And so I go to these conferences, and I know some of their motives are not what I agree with, but instead of getting angry about it, I remember my accountability one, someone's going to beat me up, if I don't treat people right, but also my community. They're counting on me to show up in a loving way. They're counting on Alex to show up in a way that loves and supports people, not in a way that brings the fire, that brings people with, axes and torches and stuff, and we're going to go burn a place down. Like, we don't show up that way. And so I remember that. And so for me, I have really learned to rein in this passion that I have for what I do, to serving others in the podcasting space on the other side of the microphone. I have brought that in to say, you know what? This is what I do, but I do it in a way that loves people. So even when there's individuals and companies I don't really agree with, I have a great reputation with them, and we have a great friendship with many of them. And at the end of the day, I think that actually rubs off a little bit more than me being angry, challenging, threatening. Instead, just showing them being like, you know what? I do stand my ground. Like, I don't really agree with that, but like, I really respect the fact that you have conviction in the way that you should run your business. And I've built a really great reputation doing that. I'm not here like to be like, oh, Alex, he's a hero, right? Anything like that. I'm just saying it goes so much further when we allow our passion to be fueled through love versus hate or anything like that, right? I sound like a Jedi now. Like, which are you, a Jedi or a Sith? But when you really fuel it that proper way, you can build a great reputation in the space that you're in. You can work with people that you thought you'd never work with. You can have a really big influence on their lives and maybe even cause them to course correct a little bit themselves and to find something that's more centered around love and service toward others. So listen, you're a podcast guest, you're a podcast host. I hope this really encourages you and challenges you. Step back, do some reflecting, like listen to this, watch this again, whatever you got to do, and think about it. Are you passionate? If you are, is it protected? Are you doing something to really make sure that it is benefiting you, your audience, and your future, the legacy that you're going to leave? And I really encourage you, again, take some time, pen and paper, to really think about all this, because I believe that if we can become truly passionate about what we do in the right way, we can change the world. And again, they'll happen one listener at a time. Again, my name is Alex Sanfilippo, and I thank you so much for spending this time with me today.